Help me hit 7,000 subscribers. Support the video with a like and share your thoughts in the comments. I read everyone. Thank you. I still remember the restaurant. Low lights, soft jazz, and the smell of grilled salmon drifting through the air. 10 years of marriage, and I thought we were celebrating everything we had built together. I ordered her favorite wine. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Ethan," she said, swirling the glass. "Can I tell you something without you getting upset?" When someone starts like that, you already know the answer won't be good. I set my fork down and nodded. She took a slow breath. "I want a night with Derek." For a moment, I thought she was joking. Derek, our mutual friend, the guy who helped us move houses, the one who'd been at our wedding. I laughed, expecting her to roll her eyes and say she was kidding. She didn't. My chest tightened. "You're serious?" She looked down at the tablecloth. "I just feel like I've missed out on things. Experiences. Derek's single. It would just be one night. No strings." I didn't yell. I didn't slam the table. I just sat there feeling every sound in the room fade until it was only her voice echoing in my head. One night. No strings. After 10 years of loyalty, of mortgages and shared laundry and hospital visits, she wanted a hall pass for our anniversary. "Why Derek?" I finally asked. "He's attractive," she whispered, "and adventurous. You've changed. We've changed." I stared at her wedding ring glinting under the candlelight, and something inside me went quiet. That was the moment the marriage cracked, not with a fight but with silence. The waiter came by asking if we wanted dessert. I said, "Just the check." Back home, she tried to explain. "I didn't mean it to hurt you. I just needed to be honest about what I feel." Honesty, I thought, was supposed to build something, not burn it down. For days, I replayed the conversation in my head. At work, I heard her voice over the hum of machinery. At night, I stared at the ceiling, wondering how someone could ask for permission to destroy what we'd spent a decade building. Then something unexpected happened. I stopped feeling angry. Instead, I felt curious. If she wanted a night with Derek, maybe she needed to see what that really looked like. The next weekend, she told me Derek had invited her to his friend's party. She looked at me, searching for resistance. I just said, "Do what you need to do." She left in a red dress I hadn't seen in years. I watched her drive away, not out of jealousy but out of disbelief that this was the same woman who once cried because I worked late and missed dinner. I poured myself a drink and turned off my phone. At 1:43 a.m., I heard the garage door. She came in quietly, thinking I'd be asleep, but I was sitting on the couch, lights low, same glass in hand. She froze when she saw me. Her mascara was smudged. Her lipstick had faded to a pale stain. "How was your night?" I asked. She swallowed hard. "It was fine. Did you get what you wanted?" Her lip trembled. "No," she said softly. "It wasn't what I thought." I nodded. "Things rarely are." She sat down across from me, folding her hands. "I thought I needed something new, but all I could think about was you. Every time he talked, every move he made, it just felt wrong, cheap." I didn't say a word. I wanted her to feel the weight of her own silence. Tears rolled down her face. "Ethan, I made a mistake." I stood up. "No, you made a choice." She reached for my hand. I stepped back. "Don't, not tonight." I went to the guest room, shut the door, and finally slept. Not peacefully, but with certainty. Something in me had ended, and I didn't need to fix it anymore. The next morning, she cooked breakfast like routines could erase betrayal. She tried small talk. "Coffee's fresh, eggs are warm. Maybe we can talk later." But we both knew talking wouldn't rebuild trust that had been willingly traded for curiosity. I left the plate untouched. "I'll be staying at my brother's for a while," I said. Her eyes widened. "Please don't do this." "You already did," I replied. The drive to my brother's place was quiet, just the sound of the tires slicing through rain. I didn't even pack much, just a duffel bag, toothbrush, and the silence that had grown between us. My brother Mark didn't ask many questions. He just looked at me once, saw my face, and said, "Guest room's open." That first night alone, I realized something. It wasn't the betrayal that broke me. It was the casualness. The way she asked, like she was ordering something off a menu. That moment killed whatever illusion of us I'd been clinging to. Days turned into weeks. She texted every morning, short messages, guilt disguised as routine. "Good morning. I miss you. Please talk to me." I didn't reply. I was done being the emotional anchor for someone who had already jumped ship. When the divorce papers came, she called crying. "Ethan, can we please just meet once? I need to talk face to face," I agreed. Mostly out of curiosity, what could she possibly say now? We met at the same restaurant where everything had cracked open. Same dim lights, same wine she'd once loved. Only this time she looked smaller somehow, like the air had been drained out of her confidence. "I ruined everything," she said, voice trembling. Derek stopped talking to me a week later. He said it felt wrong. "I can't sleep, Ethan. I see your face every time I close my eyes." I leaned back, calm, detached. "You didn't ruin everything," I said. "You just revealed what it really was." She reached across the table, her fingers brushing the air between us. "Can't we start over?" I shook my head slowly. "You can't unlight a match after it's burned the room." Her tears came fast then, the kind that make people in nearby booths glance over but pretend not to. She whispered, "You were the only man who ever loved me, right? Maybe once that would have meant something. Now it just felt like a fact stated too late." Over the next few months, I rebuilt quietly, moved into a small apartment near the lake, started running in the mornings again. I'd forgotten what silence sounded like when it wasn't heavy. One evening, as the sun dipped below the water, I realized I didn't hate her anymore. The anger had faded, replaced by something softer, clarity. I understood now that love isn't about possession. It's about choice. And she had made hers. She reached out again around Christmas. A long message about reflection, therapy, faith, and forgiveness. She said she hadn't dated anyone since. She wanted to apologize one last time. I wrote back, "I forgive you." But forgiveness isn't an invitation. That was the last time we spoke. Years later, I ran into Derek at a grocery store. I almost didn't recognize him. He looked uncomfortable when he saw me, like guilt had been following him around. He tried to explain, said it wasn't planned, that she'd come on to him, that he regretted it ever since. I told him I wasn't angry. "We all show people who we are eventually," I said. He nodded, eyes wet, like he wanted me to hit him just to make it even. But I wasn't that man anymore. I just paid for my groceries and left. Sometimes at night I think about that anniversary. Not with bitterness, but as a lesson. There's a moment in every relationship when you learn what it's truly built on. Ours was built on comfort, not commitment. If you'd asked me years ago what I'd do if my wife betrayed me, I would have imagined shouting, breaking things, slamming doors. But when it actually happened, I learned that the quiet hurts more. The sound of someone you love confessing they'd rather be with someone else, it doesn't explode, it echoes. I don't date much now. I focus on work, friends, peace. People ask if I'd ever take her back, if she ever called again. I just smile and say, some bridges aren't burned, they're dissolved. Because the truth is, she did regret it. I saw it in her eyes that night at the restaurant. The kind of regret that doesn't fade, because it comes from realizing what you traded away for something temporary. And me? I didn't need revenge or closure. I already had both the moment she walked out in that red dress. That was the night I stopped being her husband and started being myself again.